What's going on today, everybody? I hope you're having an awesome day. I'm having an amazing day because we're back working on this jet ski. So today we're gonna get rolling on getting this thing finished up, and one of the biggest components on what we have to do is now rebuild the walls where your elbows will sit. So we got to go ahead, rebuild those, and I'm gonna build them out of foam because I've already got, well, I've got the top structure set there. So now we're just gonna pour some foam around in a shape to give us generally what we need on that wall right there. So it's gonna do two things. It's gonna give us somewhere nice and easy for our elbow to sit, but it's also gonna give us a lot of structural rigidity by building a beam all the way from front to back up, all the way down that wall that we cut out. So we cut the main structure out, so now it's time to replace it with some more structure and fiberglass that in, get it ready, get it all foamed up, and get to it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it. I got an idea that's kind of rolling around in the head that I think will work, but we will see. I mean, time will tell. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get some foam on. So I've gone ahead, I've cut a board to length, kind of what I want. It's the angle that's the same side as the fin, and then I'm going to use this as my spacer. So this would be the cavity where my feet are going to go. So I'll pour foam around the outside of it, and then I don't have to pour foam or take foam out of this area. Got a garbage bag that'll wrap around this so that it doesn't stick to it, and hopefully everything will go kind of nicely. I'll probably have to reuse a garbage bag, but that's fine by me, because if I can keep this from one side, then I'll put it to the other side, just flip it, and then it's the same template for the opposite side. So I'll have identical footwells pretty close to right off the rip. So let's go ahead, let's wrap this, and then we'll get to pouring some foam. I'll probably put up some tape as a dam because this stuff, I want it to expand more than what I need so I can shape it down to what I need to, and then we'll fiberglass over the top. So let's go ahead, let's get this in, and then we'll start doing some more foaming. Foaming went awesome. I put a little bit too much in this corner. I did go through and put just a tiny bit more to make sure that it filled this crack in nice. I want it a little bulged out because it's easier to take off than put on, as we learned. It's still a little warm along the bottom side, so I don't want to quite cut into this. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this seam since it's already on the side. The ski's laying over. Gravity's our friend now. So I'm going to use this to fill this seam in with some more of this permanent caulking to give it just a little bit more rigidity. I should probably be doing fiberglass, but I want to fill this hole in with marine bond so that it just gives it a little bit more rigidity, and then it'll just help me out in the long run. So the whole length of this seam, I'm going to rerun the caulking, and then if I do ever fiberglass, I don't have a big dip in there that I got to fill with anything. I'll just make it nice and smooth, get it cleaned up and sanded down real quick so that it can really bond and help us out. That will keep these two shells together a lot easier. I probably should be doing a fiberglass, fully reinforce the entire inside of the engine bay, but this isn't going to be a surf ski. It's just going to be a jet ski, and I'm not going to be huge jumps. I'll do some jumps, but I won't be doing huge jumps. And it's taken the beating so far, but I want to make sure that it will last longer because it is, I mean, it's a 93, so it's fairly old ski, and it's held up very well. So we want to just continue the structural integrity of this and keep it going for years to come. Well, I might have spoke a little bit too soon, because it looks like if we follow this all the way from the front to the back here, it looks like there's a hairline crack running the entire length of this hole. You can really see it right there. That little gray spot is like a hairline crack. It's running the whole length of the hole. Now that might be just a mold mark because I didn't go very deep with the sandpaper, but maybe it's a good thing we're doing this. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not expect to use an entire tub on one side, or tube on one side, so I'm gonna have to wait to do the other one, but I'll get another tube coming to finish the tub on the other side. It took a lot. There's a lot of hole in there that it's gotta fill, so let's get that curing. I got to put the exhaust mount back on because it fell off, so let's go ahead, glue that thing on, and start working on the tray again, I believe. Well, we just had one of those teachable, learnable moments. If you're gonna do this, make sure that the board can collapse somehow. Maybe make it 3 pieces, because if you make it 1 piece and it's perfect to the form that you want, the foam will not let it out. It does make for a great guide, but yeah, the foam's not letting that 1 piece of board out. So split it into 3 pieces. Save yourself a bunch of hassle. Well, my board lifted up more than I wanted it to, but that will be okay. We can work with that. Awesome, so now this is snap, crackle, and popping like crazy, but we've got our general form and what we're looking for overbuilt by a good amount so we can shape it. This part might get a little bit tight. Didn't quite go, but I think it'll be fine. We'll just fix it with some fiberglass. But the rest of it, we're ready to start shaping this thing. Get rid of this stuff down at the bottom and then fix the stuff up there. But yeah, we're ready to start shaping this and getting it to the shape that we want it. Well, I've come to the realization that this is going to be kind of a goofy series. There's a lot of start this, wait for this, day ends type of mismatch in and out stuff. So last night we got the foam done, waiting for it to cure, and I just went to bed. I gave up on it. So right now we've got to take our board out, we got to get our foam cut and start shaping this. So that's our next step. Start getting this shaped out to how we want it, and then get ready to fiberglass this whole thing and seal it back up. So now we need to make sure that we don't destroy our shins when we're on this thing, but it's the critical time of making sure it's perfect now, because this is all going to be finished. So we got to go ahead, make sure this foam looks good, and with that I'm just going to get, I think I get 80 grit sandpaper. I might use the power sander, but I'm probably going to be using a block on a lot of it, and that's just to get it nice and flat. The sander will take it off really, really fast, but that might not be how I want to do it, because I need that block to make it nice and smooth. That block will give me a good average on everything. So we're going to block this thing out in 2 ways. We're going to get the block out, and then we're going to block the sandpaper. So let's go ahead, getting this board out so we can start shaping it and making these 2 sides look the same. Again, we're going to use our handy dandy Sawzall blade, random piece of aluminum for prying if we need to, and then most importantly our chisel. This is my go-to with everything. So let's get this tape off and then start working this how I want to. Remember, this is all finish, so we don't want to take off more than we want to. We want to sand that off for the final and get it all finished, because this is going to be finished. I don't want to go through and add a little bit more, even though it looks like this pulled away for some reason is really low right here. I think we can still make it work, and then I'll fix it with the fiberglass. But let's go ahead and get this off here. So I'm using this aluminum because the blade of the chisel is a little bit too small. So if I'm digging into it and I'm trying to actually pry against it, what it does is it just breaks in there. And then I have holes on the side I want to keep not holy. I want to keep nice. So this helps disperse the load a little bit and I can pry easier. I don't have a bunch of marks taking that thing out. Looks like we had a little bit of bleed over in this one as well, where it's not, where it came underneath the board, which that's fine. We'll just take that out real quick because we want as much toe room as we can get. So we've got the general shape I'm looking for, I think, on the top. We can always go smaller if we need to. Now I'm gonna go ahead and mimic this on this side. I've got most of it there. I've drawn a line on where I'd like this to be. And then I'm just using the big sander to get 90% of it down. And then I'm using a block with 150 actually, so it's not as aggressive. And that will take it down a lot slower. So I want that slow pace. Now, I need to get up here again and check this tray out once I get it close. So I'll get this close again. Make sure I like how it's feeling, like how it's looking. And then I'll get up there and make sure it feels good when I'm actually in the tray. Because that's the main point of doing this, is making sure that that thing feels good while we're using it. Okay, I've got the left side shaped how I want it, how I like it. Now remember, with this, we are trying to make it comfortable, because you might as well make it comfortable and not be annoying for your feet and your legs when you're riding it. So lots of nice rounded edges work great for your feet and for your legs. Now, the devil's advocate of that, or the flip side of the coin, is rounded edges are very, very hard to wrap. Wrapping doesn't like to have, or putting your turf on, doesn't like to have the rounded edges. And that's because you need to stretch it. Well, with hard edges, you can make joints and cuts and make that look good. So think about it when you're doing this, how you're going to wrap it. My initial thought is I'm going to build a plate, or a mat that goes out and around and wraps around in. Now that will be good because that initial layer will be, the joint will be all the way under here. And then I'll take a nice flat piece due to the side. And then that will put a joint on the bottom. And then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and put the tray in as a separate, because I got some really thick foam for comfort and to kind of hide a lot of this. It'll have a kicktail on it too, so we'll have lots of options on what we can do, but we just need to think about it. That's tentatively my plan. Hopefully it makes it easy. I did round this off a lot because I don't want to have massive pressure points on my leg when I'm riding. And then this will help out with the kids. Their knees can fit in the side when I ride with them, because it's already hard enough with a stand-up to ride with somebody, but they can actually spread their legs out and then we can actually ride it probably a lot better. So that's the goal. Rounded edges for comfort, square edges for wrapping. That being said, some edges are kind of better. Anyways, I've got it fitted how I like it. There's a really good chamfer right here, because this is where probably 90% of my time my foot's going to be here, facing in, kind of like this, just inwards just a little bit. So there's a real big sweeping edge right here, so that I don't have a point where my foot's going to come into the side of that point and just cause problems. So that'll be good. Now, I've got one side done. Let's go on the other side. But first, if you're like me and you're using a shop vac to clean this stuff up, remember that this hose is like sandpaper. So when you're dragging it in, make sure that you're rubbing it on there. I made that mistake. This one got a little thinner than I wanted, but I think it'll work perfect because it only got thin right here where I needed to bring it down anyways. So it's looking good. Let's go ahead, flip this ski over and deal with the other side now. And the hardest part's trying to match this. We'll see how we do. Well, I wish I would have really thought about it before I started foaming, because I forgot to take all the fiberglass and sticky stuff off of this railing like this. And now I get to do it with finished foam. And the foam is way softer than this fiberglass. So, gone ahead, taking a piece of tape that's kind of my sacrificial. If I start burning through it, then we know we have problems. But it seems to be holding up for the most part. Now we got to go through and do that bottom half. Well, it's time to address the elephant in the room. This giant gap here that's not sealed right. It doesn't have enough filler in it or foam in it, so we're going to go ahead and fix those things right now. I'm just going to use some body filler because I want this to look nice and straight. Well, we've got the Bondo on it. It's not anything beautiful yet, but now we need to sand it. That hole is now filled in, so we'll give it like 5-10 more minutes. Then we'll go ahead and fix all these little holes, and then it'll be nice and smooth for us to actually work with. I might throw a little bit up in there. Looks like I got a little hole up front, but that one should be fine. I'll have fiberglass over that. Everything else is looking good though. We did it, and I found out that doing fiberglass and trying to camera is not good because I got resin all over my camera and decided to just not do it because it's hard to do it myself. But we've got everything already wrapped. I wrapped it twice with chop mat. That's the mat with all the waves going every which direction. So it's wrapped twice with chop mat, and then it's wrapped one last time with your standard biaxial or bilateral weave, and just to make it kind of smoother. Now I have had a little bit of issue because I put it all the way on the side to help gravity. So it was sitting right here. Gravity helped me out, and it kind of ran down along the side. I got a goober right there, but that's okay because we are changing the whole look of this ski, and I need to redo this anyways. So not the end of the world, but not ideal. So if you're doing it with your ski, you might throw some tape here. Make that nice and not resiny. But we've got both sides done. They're all glassed in. I got a little bit of sanding to do. I'm going to go ahead and Bondo this, and then I have to I'm going to gel coat it anyways. So I'll put some Bondo, get all the low spots, and then sand it and make sure it's all looking good before we put matte on and be done with this. While I was doing that, I was cleaning the interior and managed to find there is a crack that runs all the way pretty much to the front. So now I was trying to avoid doing the interior, but we're going to be doing at least some fiberglassing in here. We have to fix this because this one's pretty bad, but we'll see. Trying to keep the stickers, but I think the stickers are gone. They're going away. That one faded. It's just not going great. So when I was doing this, the chop mat, which is this mat, chop mat, I went and I started at the top, wrapped it around. I had it had fold marks on it, and they're about 5 inches thick, 5 inches wide. So that's my width strips, and then they were about 8 inches long to go ahead, wrap around the foam, and then tie into the side down here, this nice flat sides. So our first layer of chop mat went around like that, tied into the bottom, made that structurally sound, get some good rigidity out of it. And then my second layer, I went ahead and went from the bend or the whatever, where it changes direction, from there all the way to the front, one big piece.
long piece is going to be more structurally sound than a bunch of little pieces. So I went all the way around, and then another chunk from here to here, and then a corner chunk to tie in. Corners are tight. They're not fun, but they're doable. You can do it. And then to finish it all off, I went with, what is it, like a 5-inch piece of regular weave, which is like this, and wrapped it from the bottom all the way up to the top, making sure to get this bottom corner sealed. So this foam is a different system than the bottom foam, which works out great because I can keep the two systems separate. If this one gets wet, I'm less worried about it than the bottom. I don't want either of them getting wet, but it is two different systems of foam. Now we can go ahead, get this bodied, get it finished out, and then start putting some color to it and make it finished, sealed up, perfectly, all done. Main goal, seal everything up because we don't want to do this all again. So there we go. There you go. Now you can see that crack a lot better. It looks like it's almost a delamination issue between a couple layers, but we'll go ahead, throw some resin on it, do some fiberglass, and then I'm gonna get this whole, at least this whole bottom tray glassed in and stronger than it is now. So I've gone ahead, put chop mat on the bottom just to cover that crack. I had some of the extra really thick stuff, so we'll use that. And then I'm gonna cover it with really thin just to make it all uniform, pretty, and then that'll be easier. It kind of keeps these little ends down. So we'll put this on over all the way up there and then get that wetted out. Gone ahead and put a skim coat of Bondo over the top railing. The rest of it's going to be covered by mats, or it's not going to be super obvious if it's got a little bump in it. But the top of the railing is definitely going to be one of those spots where you'll be able to see all the waves. With that, we've gone ahead, done both of them. I got a little bit more to do right here, but I've got top rails done. And now working on the bulkhead right here. Did not realize that was a sticker, so that came off pretty easy. But we'll go ahead and get this all prepped out and cleaned up for paint and getting prepped ready to get some more stuff done. Well, I think that's where we're gonna call it for the day. It's been a process so far. We've got a lot done. I'm really happy to have all those edges fiberglassed up. Now that won't ruin them. They're protected, and we can keep moving on from there. So we're gonna continue on making it smooth, getting it ready for matting, and just turfing it. And then we're getting ready for this thing to be done. I still have a couple more things that I want to do to it, but we'll get to that point when we get to that point. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here. You enjoy the rest of your day. I'm gonna enjoy mine. We made some great progress today, and even more progress to come up. So take it easy, everyone. I'm gonna get out of here. Peace. If you like what we're doing, enjoy what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe, because this whole series is gonna take me a little bit, and hopefully you guys will learn anything. If you learned anything, give it a big thumbs up. Take it easy, everyone. Peace. Well, we just had one of those teachable, learnable moments. Howdy-ho there, neighbor.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. Just got a package for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, you have a great one.
You too.